deal. Several months ago, got a lot of hits. As a matter of fact, it was a record for this YouTube show. It was What's Wrong with NASCAR. Now, I wasn't after NASCAR. I was after the sport of stock car racing. You can't just go after NASCAR. It's not all NASCAR's fault. And I hit upon a number of things. I said some of the sponsors were just too uptight with their drivers. They won't let a lot of their drivers go. Some will. And I said at that time, what you guys need to do is back off these drivers. Let them turn loose a little bit. If I like Keselowski, he'll say what he wants to when he wants to, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's so popular. He's also a heck of a race driver. So we got to have some of that, okay? It's what racing's about. Racing's about rubbing and about guys saying things. You know, not a bunch of automatons, going from motorhome to garage area under stealth. My favorite driver, I missed him. Where was he? He was invisible. We didn't see him go from the motorhome to the garage area. He turned invisible. How did he do that? I wanted him to sign my autograph. He didn't sign my autograph. We didn't see him. So, drivers become more visible. You're going to do better. Now, we still go back to what's wrong. Well, number one, NASCAR has identified a lot about what's wrong and done something about it. The new point deal is going to help a lot. I loved and I won't tell you who it was, but he was a top 5 finisher at the Daytona 500. And they asked about, how do you feel about your finish? Instead of saying, I finished whatever position he was, it'll give him away, but I tell you, he said, and saying, I had a great points race. I know I'm going to be in good shape after this race. He said, with the points deal like it is, based on winning, I didn't do worth a hoot. Okay? That's what you want to get what people say. You want people to go for the win. Winning is everything. So they attack that. Now, the other big problem is the aero push. Again, the aero push prevents the lead car from being passed back and then the guy passing him back. So you get back and forth. And guess what happens when you get back and forth? You get rubbing. Okay? That's what that's why people buy tickets. That's why they're watching on TV. Rubbing. But you got to be able to pass back and forth. Now, did all the stuff that was done over by the engineers, etc., help, or did it hurt? We have no idea. We got a bunch of people with computers that say they got an idea, but until we get on Las Vegas, we're not going to find out. We're not going to find out at Phoenix. We're going to find out at Las Vegas whether the aero push is there or not, and that may not completely tell the story. But we need to get back to the rubbing and the passing, and also letting the guys go and let them be themselves. I asked the sponsors, many of them, they let them go. Lowe's certainly does that with Jimmy Johnson. I've never seen one of Jeff Gordon's sponsors try to tell him what to do, okay? But we got an awful lot of sponsors, with the handlers they got on the drivers, and the only thing they care about is Tuesday. What happens on Tuesday? It's not a race. It's the Joyce Julius report out of Chicago, and that determines how many times your car got on air, on television. Not you, the driver. They don't show you, the driver, except in the winner's circle. They show the car. That's why from 20th place on back, you don't get hardly any TV time unless you're upside down or you're getting in a big pileup or you got something funny happen down pit road. So we got to still loosen up on all this. I didn't see any evidence down in Daytona of a bunch of drivers being real loose compared to last year. But then we didn't have the controversies at Daytona that we had last year. Except maybe after the race and, all the drivers are gone. And there wasn't a big controversy in the finish. Dale Jr. just won it. And so we'll see how things go. But what we need more than anything else right now is get rid of the air push and let these drivers' personalities come out. And one other thing, I've said this before, we need some guy to come along. His teeth aren't right. He doesn't talk quite right. He doesn't dress quite right. He needs a haircut, one way or the other. He's either got a buzz cut or he's got too long hair. But he's a race driver who can bury it down in the corner. And that driver may come from, as I've said before, the sagebrush of Texas, the cornfields of Iowa, the swamps down in Georgia, mountains of the Carolinas and Tennessee. He might come from up north, but he is heck on wheels. And again, he's probably somebody you don't want to sponsor. But would you have sponsored Earnhardt at his early age? Would you have sponsored Junior Johnson, fresh out of prison? Got his pardon out of it. The most colorful guy we've ever had is Junior Johnson, for God's sakes. He sold more tickets. Okay? Good night. Where would we be without him? That's what we need back. We need to get these colorful drivers back. And only the sponsors can make that happen, because there are some fabulous race drivers out there. So, you boys that are out there that are racing, you're pulling a low boy, you got dirt all over you, you go to the car wash and you got so much mud in the car, there's a guy out there with a shotgun that says, "Do not come in here." And you got to go home and wash it out with the garden hose. Don't give up. You know, you've won 16 straight races at East Overshoe, somewhere. You're a heck of a race driver. We need you. We really do. So come on. Nobody's going to stop you. As a matter of fact, it might be time for you right now. Just because you don't look right, just because you don't talk right, just because you don't dress right. But you're one heck of a race driver, should absolutely not keep you out of the top rungs of NASCAR. And I don't think it will if you get that right kind of sponsor that really wants a personality like your own. Okay?